Now then, folks, it's time for cheer. Danny, Sophie, and the whole gang's here. From hearty laughs to family hugs, they're Yorkshire's best with endless love. Mr. and Mrs. Yorkshire, what a team. Blending love, kids, and living the dream.
After a busy day out in Edinburgh, we travelled to Glasgow to experience some of the old parts of it and the new. In the 1800s, when the merchants descended on Glasgow, it pretty much tripled in population size. Hey up, we're in Glasgow, so you've just got thee and me today. I am here with Dan, but he's having a rest in the car as he's paggered, as he'd say, from yesterday in Edinburgh. So he's dropped me off in a historic part of Glasgow, but now I've realised I'm actually in a salubrious graveyard. So I'm at Glasgo Necropolis. We basically saw lots of museum signs and old buildings and it's like, oh, you'll like this. And I knew he wanted to get out, but wife's orders, rest. Because he's been doing a lot of walking and a lot of driving and he's back at work tomorrow. So he is currently resting in the car. But we're going to take a tour around and it looks like it's going to be a historic walking tour. Now, I've already seen a sign for William Dick. That is his actual name. Apparently, like, really important people are buried here at Glasgow. But it's very, very pretty. So we're just going to go and have a look. The Merchant's House of Glasgow. And over there, you can see the cathedral. And it is very green. That's what we were saying on his way up. Just how green Scotland is everywhere possible. Now, I want to find out what that place is. If you can see it in distance, that white place. And there's another place. There's lots of places, as you can see. And in Scotland, the national flower thing is a thistle. So every time I see a thistle, I get very excited because it means there's something of historic or heritage importance here. So look, that's the cathedral. Sir William Wallace Memorial, Jewish enclosure. But look at that up there. And honestly, on his way past, we went past a business park with lots of grassy pyramids. I think it was actually called Pyramid Business Park. But we're like, oh, this is like Glasgow's version of ancient Egypt. Look at that. So if you're a geek like me, today we're going to be full on geeking out, looking at the rich history of Glasgow.
I geek on. Beat my freak on.
Which I think often gets a really bad rap. But look at this. This is just one little quarter of Glasgow with all those historic buildings. And honestly, when I saw that thistle, I get so excited with all these different museums. And see, Danny says my silly voice comes on because I get really excited about history. So I want to see if we can spot any famous Glaswegians. Now that's a mouthful. Obviously they're dead, but so we won't spot them in person, but see their gravestones. So those who know me know I like to go on lots of different rabbit holes. So in the past, Danny did find it weird, the fact that I had a real fascination with graveyards. This was way before I met him. This was as a child. I do think it's because I lived behind a graveyard and I was just always interested in the history, and like I went to visit Oscar Wilde's grave and all different people, and then it went on to prisons. So then everywhere I went abroad I always wanted to see a prison. Then it changed slightly and my rabbit hole was carousels. Do you know, like those old carousels? So I was like, every carousel I see I have to try and go on, from like Paris to America, Malaysia, lots of different places I have to find old carousels. I have come away from graveyards now, but this one may pique my interest because it's just incredible what they build. And yesterday in Edinburgh, we visited a Korean War memorial, which is like the only dedicated Korean War memorial in the country. And that, again, I just love how people are like memorialised and all the different thoughts that go into it. And I'm just realising what a big geek I am. This is probably why Dan's probably like, I'm so fatigued today. Look, there's a lot of thistles, a lot of historic things. You'll enjoy it. Go crazy. Right, oh, and Athena is with me. She's fast asleep in buggy, so I am enjoying a quiet geek out. Now look at that. Wow. Oh, and this is reminding me of another fascination I had. It was of doors and entrances, and I guess the most recent one as well, because doors, I always think the way you enter something, like how you enter the world or enter somebody's house, which they call their castle, is really, really interesting. And like they said yesterday, there's a part of Edinburgh that they call like a little Athens. I did think they said little apples, but it was definitely Athens, Dan said. I do think it's amazing, but one of my other fascinations is trains, because I just find it's not necessarily about the engineering, because we saw all about that yesterday at the National Museum of Edinburgh, but it's actually just about the societal thing, how it connects people, and it's how a lot of people become mixed race, dual heritage like myself, because of the train line, or with my nan, because of the ferry, connecting people. Now that reminds me a little bit there of Bradford with the Midland Hotel, which my friend used to work out, and that was one of the railway hotels. I wonder if there's a train station nearby. There's got to be in Glasgow. I did discover later that that was actually a hospital museum over there. And again, the white building links back to the merchants who made Glasgow what it is today, full of wealth and industry. Back then, anyway. Guys like that. So this is basically the land of the dead, they say. It's Necropolis Glaswegius, if I can say it right. So originally this was actually called Fir Park because it was full of fir trees. And then sadly they died. So now it's kind of like more willow and oak trees, which I wonder if they're a bit of a cheaper breed. We did see a lot of fir trees on the way up. It was like Christmas tree shopping. Scotland really is beautiful. It has that same vibe of Yorkshire in the sense of like a huge Yorkshire. But people are so friendly, and they've still left a lot of green spaces alone. Right, so we're going to head out now, and I'm going to head across the road to a Glasgow Cathedral. Now, you're only a city if you have a cathedral in it. So look at that path. We're going to head across there because I want to make the most of this quiet time whilst Danny's asleep and he's not stopping me geek out. And then Athena's also asleep in buggy. So whilst we take a quick wander across, obviously you'll know Glasgow is a city of football. You've got Rangers and Celtic FC, but also it is a UNESCO city of music too. So it's like in Bradford, that's UNESCO city of film, whereas this place is all about the music. It's also full to brim, as you can see, of architecture. So there's the Glasgow Museum and School of Art. This place where I am in the Necropolis, this is more Victorian style, but there's all sorts of style architecture. Now, it's not got as many listed buildings as Edinburgh because that has the most and is the most green, and you definitely feel as you come into Glasgow a more industrial vibe. There's more of an affluent vibe to Edinburgh when you come in, like swanky shopping centres and stuff. These are like cobbled streets, but it's still beautiful in its own right. Say hello to Danny having a cat nap in his car. We'll have to get down to check out the food and drink scene later. It's known for its big whiskey distillery industry and a big ship industry too, ship making. But I'm more about the history. Dan can tell you about the food and drink in a bit. Right, so this is the cathedral. Hey, let's have a look inside the cathedral. Free admissions, no food or drink allowed. And some steps. But you can call for disabled access. So it looks like one of the old bells. Now I have had this little thing where I'm wanting to try a day in the life of a bell ringer to see if it's a good workout. I love
St
like
Mungo, the
old
patron
ancient
saint of
traditions
Glasgow,
as well,
was
trying
buried
them out.
here.
Wowza, look at that. It really does have a feeling of majesty too. Although it's just a shame all these tourists pushing me out the way with a buggy because they won't wait. Somebody's turned the hoover on and it woke you up, didn't it, Beanie Bobs? As well as some rude tourists pushing me out their way with their bags, yeah? Anyway, welcome to Glasgow Cathedral. Founded in the 1200s, the cathedral was originally a Catholic place of worship. However, following the Protestant Reformation of 1560, it became a Protestant kirk. The cathedral was built as a fitting setting for the shrine and tomb of St Mungo, and actually there's St Mungo's museum out there that we'll have to check out. Apparently that's the only religious dedicated museum of its kind in the world. And this was once the centre of the city. Pilgrims queued here in the nave, following a set route around the cathedral to St Mungo's shrine and tomb. So I guess we're going to have to check out St Mungo's shrine and tomb. So actually they're not doing hoovering, they're doing some very important stonemasonry. I'm always thinking, oh, a buzzing sound, it's a hoover, I'm always hoovering. But actually stonemasonry is a real skillful job, unlike my hoovering. The lower church and St Mungo's tomb. Should we have a look down there? So let's have a look down the lower church and the tomb. Oh wow. Look at that. Now this is why I think people always say these so-called places are haunted, because whilst they do soak up history, at the same time you can definitely feel the religious vibe to the place, and that's a place of importance. But also all these stone and the walls everywhere will soak up sounds and the feeling of things. That's why it's so important to keep these ancient buildings alive if we're ever to truly understand the past. Reverend George Stuart Burns. So this isn't actually a hotel, it's the Friends of Glasgow Royal Infirmary. So we stopped right by a hospital, but also that's an extra museum opened by Queen Victoria, but it's actually closed. So we're going to have a look at this Mungo Museum. This St Mungo Museum is free. It celebrates religious life and lots of different world cultures. It's one of the only kind of museums in the world. It's also got an epic Japanese Zen garden. Now this Zen garden was the first ever permanent garden to be built here in the United Kingdom. And what an amazing viewpoint too of the cathedral and the necropolis. But it's all free, and then you're on Cathedral Street where you can whiz down right into the city centre of Glasgow. Oh, this is good for you teens. You'll be able to interact. Now, I don't do very well at standing still anyway, and I was on a time limit, so we just buzzed around quickly to see some of the fantastic objects that were in the gallery, and of course outside in the Zen garden. Permanent Zen garden to be built in the UK. A place of peace. Where we are, Zen garden. Right, so mic's off. You've got my big loud voice now because I can't faff around with all that equipment stuff when I'm on my Todd. I'm not very good at it anyway, but that's my excuse today. So I'm going to head quickly across, as I've only got 2 hours left on the parking until I have to wait Dan up, to the city centre. Let's go. Oh, but I've got to stop here. This is Glasgow's oldest house. I thought this place looked a bit funky opposite the museum. Provand Lordship. So this is Glasgow's oldest house. Let's have a quick look, and then I am definitely going into the centre.
I'll just point out, okay, so this is Glasgow, the top end of Glasgow,
Oh, wow.
1500, and that's us here.
Ah.
Okay. Properties were up here, and that was kind of all there was in this area, yeah.
This shows medieval Glasgow. So this is before Victorian times. So at this point, the necropolis hadn't been built yet. And there's a big high street connecting here, the oldest house where the canon of Glasgow Cathedral would have lived, to the city centre. Now today, I'm not going to go via High Street, I'm going to go via the new street, Cathedral Street, to get into the city centre, from old to new, so from the oldest house into the newest part. And actually at the end of High Street used to be the old market. So I'm not sure if that's still there, but I imagine it might have moved now. Moved to the old sweet shop and St Nicholas Garden. It's free and definitely worth a wander. It's got some spectacular views and a garden of its own that's worth seeing. So definitely pop in on your way around the cathedral and St Mungo's museum. See, this is what I love about everywhere I've seen in Scotland. Old sheds are bus stops, old police stations are now cafes, old phone boxes are art galleries. It's brilliant. Aha, so we have found out that this white spire is Arms House. Now this actually was built by the traders of the city, as Glasgow was a key place in trade. So I'm just walking to the bottom of High Street and then I'm going to head to George Square, which is under development at the moment. I'm going to also head to the famous Buchanan Street. The problem is, Thina, we have not got long. We've got an hour to bez into the centre and back to the car before the parking runs out. And I'm always running behind schedule, so we're going to have to go quick. There's lovely little gardens everywhere. There's slogans everywhere saying people make Glasgow. And I am heading down here to Glasgow Cross as well, which is where the old market would have used to have been. But honestly, it is. Everyone's so friendly. This is like a Yorkshire in Scotland, so it's a bit better. No, it's not. I love Yorkshire. Yorkshire's always going to be my favourite. Favourite place is full of urban art and gardens. I thought that said AI kilt hire is A1 kilt hire. So no, you don't just get an AI kilt, you'd bear all then. Whilst there's a lot of hope and industry in Glasgow, there is a lot of poverty as well, which you can also see. And there are a lot of social projects, and I love the fact that you can come on a walking tour and homeless people will lead you around their city centre and also share some of the social action projects that are happening here in Glasgow. If I had enough time, I'd definitely be on that. That's the Glasgow cross there at the bottom. This is one of the most well-known crosses and probably the oldest. It connects 5 major streets: Trongate, Gallagate, Salt Market, High Street and London Road. I'm going to head into the city centre past George Square here, and there's more art on the wall. So that's the university there and George Street, and by the cross that's also where there's a train station. But we're going to head and see what's happening in the city centre. So they've called this Glasgow City Innovation District. University Central. Well, people complain about students, but they bring so much wealth and art and culture to a city. So we've got Chai Walla, a chain I love, and Black Sheep Coffee. Smacks, never tried there. Oh, and Tim Hortons, heard bad things about that. And of course Greggs. Everywhere seems to have a Greggs. Although there's still a lot of Pizza Huts here in Scotland. And Joanna Goodbite. Ooh, this is where I need to go to get my Asian food fix. Yippon Sushi Bar. Oh yes, super city. These places to cycle as well. John Street is the old merchant city. Now there's a lot of debate. Is Glasgow better? Is Edinburgh better? And unfortunately I always love the underdog, but I've got to say Edinburgh is a place you could go for like a week or more because there's different things to do for a whole day. Glasgow, I feel it's more of a day tripper thing or a weekend thing, but they're both equally stunning in their own right in a different way. And honestly, Scottish people are lovely. Must be George Square, which they're developing. I always feel hurtful when I see one of those city sightseeing buses, because I feel like, okay, I must be seeing some important stuff then, because you know that they get all the good spots. So maybe I should just follow a bus on foot. Oh, so this is George's Square, which is gonna look epic. Cool, that's an electric tour bus. I feel like we're heading to Buchanan Street, which is the main shopping street apparently. There's also Queen Street, Visit Scotland down here. Okay, so we're just coming out of the university and college quarters and into the main high street of today. That's what George's Square is going to look like. So it'll be a nice pedestrianised place. I have to share another geeky fact about pedestrianised cities. Now, there's a lot of claims that they're not as accessible, and I'm sure people have lots of different problems. But luckily, there are places like York where you can ask them to lift the barriers in some places if they've been pedestrianised, and if you need accessibility. And also, they kind of force like more of a community into the city centre, and actually people worried that less cars in the city centre meant less business, but actually it's been proved that pedestrianised places actually causes more business, because people stay for longer to have food, drink out, they eat on the streets, and it just gives it more of a sense of purpose and less pollution. I think whenever I visit places, I probably look at it with a very different lens, because obviously I'm thinking, having 5 kids at home from her age to teens, you're thinking, okay, things for all ages. You're also thinking accessibility needs with having family with physical disabilities, and then also, like myself, with learning disabilities. So you're often always like working out what's best for everyone. My coffee shop off the rails, just by Glasgow Queen Street station. You can hear a busking bagpiper, so we must be pretty central here. Pizza crawler, authentic Italian pizza. Amazing as that, I was wondering what this place was, and it's the Wild Olive Tree, a social enterprise cafe serving fresh soup, scones, cakes, tea and coffee. Right, we are going to have to try there, aren't we? Now this is Buchanan Street. As you can see, already pedestrianised and quite busy. So up there you've got Buchanan Galleries Shopping Centre, the Glasgow Royal Concert Hall, JD, obviously, H&M, the Scottish Shop, and a whole array of shops down there. I think we're going to have to do a bit of shopping in fast time, but first, let's head inside here. Do you say scones? I think we need the scone or scone.
Apparently
what
the correct way is scones, but I'm all about the scones.
Or scone. Are you more of a scone and a cup of tea? Yes. Yes, Queen Athena. Scones are believed to have originated in Scotland in the early 1500s, originally known as bannocks. We've come right into the centre. It's full of music. You can definitely feel this is the city of music. As ever, we're running late and we're lost. And my phone crashed. Oh, there's a Rolex store. I get so distracted. But I finally found the Crocs of Danny's dreams. So you'll have to do a big reveal. He's going to have to show off all his Crocs. We found Baba. So we take it back temporarily about the pedestrianisation of centres, because we could not find our way back as it's currently being built. But I'm sure it'll be amazing when it's all done. But now we're back. We're on his way home. We've had a fab time in Glasgow. Baba. And Baba's here. Look, picture of Elf. Final stop at Weatherby Services, and I've just seen a little electric AI laundrette there. It's a sign. We need a camper van, don't we? I'd love this all the time, just to go off, travelling somewhere, walking, exploring. Right, let's go. Peace, love, shimmies. Quick pit stop for lunch. Say see you soon, guys. Bye bye. Say bye-bye. No. Peace, love, shimmies.